And this one, this is a one from Mexico. So yeah, again, just my normal opener. Hello, it's an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance. She says the pleasure is all mine. Oh no, I must insist the pleasure is mine. So it's like, I'm just being a bit ridiculous and silly at this point, which is fine. I like to have fun and take the piss. That's kind of what I'm doing here. But it's good because she's playing along as well. So however, I'm willing to settle on it being equally ours. So again, I push that narrative further. I like your ability to compromise. It means we will have a very healthy marriage. And then she's playing along as well. Of course, compromise is key. I then shift the conversation to this thing here where I'm asking her, so tell me the basics, any superpowers, any weird fetishes I should know about, ever been to prison. I can't remember where I got this from, but this is like a little question thing that I got from somewhere, and it's quite effective just to kind of move the conversation forward without it being boring, because obviously it could be easy to ask something like, oh, so what do you do for work, or something like that. But here, you know, this is something a bit more like interesting, because you're talking about superpowers, fetishes, being to prison. You know, it's conversation topics which are a little bit more imaginative, and you know, it's going to play on her imagination rather than just more logical stuff like, what do you do for work, where do you live, all that boring stuff. Of course, you can ask that stuff and still make it interesting. So like, whatever information she gives you, turn it back on her and make a joke out of it. You know, that's the kind of stuff that you should be doing in the day game interactions. And it's pretty much just the same in here as well. But here, you know, I like to use this thing sometimes when I can't be bothered to think of something else, you know, interesting to ask her. So she gives quite a boring reply, just saying no superpowers, no fetishes, never been to prison. And you? And then I say, I'm sure you have some weird secrets you can't tell me about yet. My superpower is my foot massage giving capabilities. So it's really stupid, like the stuff I'm saying. It's really fucking stupid and cringy, but it works, you know. It can work if the girl is, you know, invested to some extent. It's just a far more interesting and fun and engaging conversation for her to have, and it kind of differentiates you from other guys, because most guys wouldn't have the balls to say stuff like this, you know. And so she regards you as just being far more cool and interesting than the average guy, basically. Blah blah blah. That's an odd superpower, but I'll take it. So yeah, so she's quite receptive. You might even get a demonstration one day if you're lucky. So that's cool. Here I'm saying it's basically like, you know, taking things a step forward by, you know, saying if you're lucky one day you might get a demonstration. So it's not being too explicit by saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking rub your feet like some dirty old creep or some shit, you know. It's saying, you know, in a very, very socially calibrated way, you might get a demonstration if you're lucky, you know. There's lots of ifs and that kind of thing. So it makes it more calibrated when you say it in this way, rather than saying it in another way, which could be like taken like in a really creepy way. So then, yeah, some more small talk. I say, you know, it's Valentine's Day today. Yeah, she says doesn't take it too seriously. Me neither, but I would still like you to be my Valentine. That sounds a bit cheesy, doesn't it? So I'm being like really stupid and cheesy here again. But she says she likes it anyway. So then I'm like, okay, cool, let's meet on Tuesday evening. That shall be our Valentine's Day. That wasn't actually Valentine's Day, but it was like a few days after Valentine's Day. So yeah, at this point it's just, she says she's got a lecture to attend to, blah blah blah. So then it's just figuring out logistics at this point. Normally I like to do this on WhatsApp. I would have normally have asked her for her number at this point, but I think I was kind of running out of time because I had to go to Cancun. So yeah, here was a bit tricky with the logistics, but yeah, it's basically just figuring out logistics at this point with this one. So here's another one where I'm kind of taking the piss a little bit. So she asked me, first of all, where are you from? I say, hi, the UK and you. And then say, yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm here now in Mexico City. Cool, how was your week? Are you on vacations? What are you doing? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. So it's basically just small talk at the beginning, and then I spike it up a bit by just saying, my week started bad, but now it's better now that I've met you. It's a bit cheesy, but it's, you know, I think with like, especially a lot with like foreign girls, it's okay to do a bit of like, you know, cheesy stuff. It's, you know, with the emoji at the end of it, shows that I'm joking, so that it's a bit more self-aware about, you know, and then it makes it more like, I guess, socially calibrated to say something dumb like this. And it actually works out quite well. She kind of likes it. And then yeah, she's from she says she's from a certain place, and then where are we? So yeah, then she says she's from a certain place, and then she says I live and work here too. So I'm like, oh cool, we have so much in common. That's crazy, right? So yeah, again, just taking the piss a bit. Yeah, obviously it's a recurring theme in my conversations. This conversation in particular, you know, it's very, very piss-takey. It's got a very piss-takey kind of vibe. Yeah, so I then continue with that sort of like narrative. Yeah, it's crazy, we should probably get married or something. So again, spiking it up a bit, not being afraid to say something outlandish, say something a bit ridiculous, and you know, and something that will just really engage her. So she then says, what are you looking for in this app? So then again, I'm taking the piss by just saying you and you. I ask her, so it's like seeing how well she's going to reciprocate the fact that I'm pushing it quite forward quite quickly. And then she says you too as well, so that's obviously a good sign. Oh, she says a date with you as well. And then I say that can be arranged as long as you're a good girl. So yeah, it's just this whole narrative of kind of taking the piss but moving things forward quite sort of quickly, and being a bit direct, I guess. And then this one again is another piss takey one. She starts off the conversation with a random question, just saying friends or How I Met Your Mother. I say friends, and then I say I've never seen How I Met Your Mother. She then says that was the correct answer. I then try and switch it to English because I can't be bothered to speak in Spanish. So yeah, luckily she speaks English. I take the piss at this point by saying, oh good, I must say your linguistic capabilities are most commendable. So it's yeah, just being a bit silly. Don't be afraid to say things which are just a bit silly and just being fun and playful, basically. She doesn't know what commendable means, so I translate in Spanish. She said I literally just said yes, sometimes less is more. And then she agrees, and then I say, I'm glad you understand me, I feel a real connection with you. So again, it's like, it's pushing it to the next level, being very being subtle in a way, but also being direct in the sense that I'm trying to spike it up a bit, trying to push things forward, take it to the next level quite quickly, instead of just having kind of boring chat. So then she's playing along with that narrative as well, so that's good. She says you feel it too, and then I push it to the extreme by just saying shut up and kiss me. So yeah, you can get away with saying stuff like this. Notice also the amount of emojis I'm using as well. You can say ridiculous things, you know, when it's almost like, that's the good thing about like texting, is that you can say like almost like the most ridiculous possible things, but if you've got like some emojis at the end of the sentence, it kind of makes it okay because it shows that you're just joking. So that's the cool thing about that. I always use like the smiley face with the tears coming out a lot of the time. I use a few others as well, you might have noticed. So then she says, what about COVID? Again, I take the piss about that, just saying make sure you have your face mask on when you do it. So yeah, I mean, you can see just from like all of these conversations really that the vibe is just very, very playful, being almost a little bit pushy in the sense that I'm escalating verbally here, and not being afraid to kind of say what's on my mind, not being afraid just to kind of like take the piss a lot, and yeah, just being a bit more polarizing with my intentions. And I think that's the best way to do it, at least for me anyway, because as I said before, I don't want to spend ages texting one girl in the hopes that I can get a date out of her, because the thing with online dating is that girls are even more flaky than they are with day game, you know, because like in day game, it's like, you know, you get a number, it's like a 50% chance you might not even respond to the first text, and you know, later, if she does respond to first text, yes, she might drop off later on. But with online dating, it's like probably, I'd say more than half the time they're not going to respond to your first text, and they drop off like crazy with online dating. So like you get loads and loads and loads and loads of flakes with online dating. So that's kind of the reason why I don't want to invest loads of time, you know, back and forth texting for like days on end before trying to get a date. You know, for me, just want to text a little bit, bounce her over to WhatsApp and arrange a date in the space of about 2 or 3 days. And texting, you know, not texting like every 5 minutes, just texting like, I don't know, maybe once, just you know, a few times in a day, and then, you know, just to get the ball rolling, escalate a little bit verbally, see if she's receptive, see if there's some level of interest, and then push it to you know, as far as I can really. And obviously with the stuff that I'm saying, you know, being that a little bit kind of polarizing, you know, the girl has to kind of like you initially for it to work. So she has to kind of like you from your photos, from your profile, for this to work. So there's that issue as well. And but that's just how it is with online dating. You are going to get judged by your photos and your profile, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just how it is. Hopefully that was helpful. That's kind of how I like to do it. You know, there's multiple ways to do this kind of thing. I'm not necessarily saying that this is the best way to do it. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an expert when it comes to online dating, but it does kind of work for me. It has been working for me during this pandemic period, but you know, it's no substitution for doing day game. It's just way better because, and I think like one of the main things about like, you know, day game as opposed to the dating apps is that you can just see what the girl looks like. With, you know, half the time with these dating apps, you know, the girl just looks completely different in real life to how she does in the profile. So yeah, you don't get that issue with day game, and it's just a lot more genuine, I think. Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on your approach at girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.